Captain Rodriguez had already decided she would handle Overwatch before Staff Sergeant Kayla Brennan even entered the briefing tent. "She can stay back and provide backup support," he told Lieutenant Hayes, his voice carrying across the canvas space where 12 other operators were checking their gear. Hayes nodded without looking up from his map. Someone needs to babysit the ridge anyway. Brennan stepped through the tent flap, her M24 rifle case slung across her shoulder, and caught the tail end of their conversation. The captain glanced at her briefly, then returned to the tactical display showing their target compound 3 kilometers from the Overwatch position. 12 pairs of eyes followed her movement as she found space near the equipment table, and she heard Corporal Martinez whisper to his partner, "Think she has ever made a shot past 800 meters?" His companion shrugged. "Doubt it matters from up there." The briefing commenced with Rodriguez outlining the mission parameters. Primary assault team would advance on the compound, while Overwatch maintained surveillance from the ridge overlooking the valley. "Simple support role," he explained, looking directly at Brennan. "Just keep eyes on our 6 and call out anything unusual." The other operators exchanged glances that suggested they understood Overwatch meant staying safely out of the real action. "Before we dive into this mission, drop a comment and let us know what state you're watching from. Maybe you have military families in your area who understand the challenges of proving yourself in situations like this." Sergeant First Class Thompson approached her position near the gear table, his expression mixing professional courtesy with barely concealed skepticism. "You comfortable with that distance, Brennan? The compound sits 3,200 meters from your perch. Even with perfect conditions, that is pushing the envelope for most marksmen." He paused, clearly expecting her to express concern or request a closer position. The other team members had stopped their preparations to listen, several already smirking at what they anticipated would be her request for reassignment. Brennan checked her rifle case and met Thompson's stare directly. "Distance looks manageable, Sergeant. My scope is zeroed for those ranges." Thompson's eyebrows lifted slightly, and he exchanged a look with Martinez that suggested they found her confidence amusing rather than reassuring. "Sure it is," Martinez muttered under his breath, earning quiet chuckles from nearby operators. Captain Rodriguez finished marking positions on the tactical map and turned his attention to final assignments. "Brennan, you will establish Overwatch at grid reference 7748. Maintain radio contact and provide situation reports every 15 minutes. He emphasized the word reports as if expecting her primary contribution would be observational rather than operational. "The real work happens down in the valley, so stay alert and keep us informed of anything developing on the periphery." The tent fell silent except for the sound of equipment being secured and final preparations being completed. Brennan could feel the weight of their collective assumption that she represented the least critical element of the mission, positioned safely away from actual combat, where her inexperience would not compromise the operation. Several operators had already begun discussing their assault routes, their voices carrying the confidence of soldiers who knew they would be handling the dangerous work while she watched from a distance. Hayes approached her position with a communications checklist, his manner professional but tinged with the same skepticism she had encountered from the others. "Make sure your radio stays clear," he instructed. "We need reliable communication, not chatter. If you see something significant, report it immediately and let us decide how to respond." The implication hung in the air that her role was to observe and relay, not to make tactical decisions or take independent action. As the briefing concluded and operators began filing out to begin mission preparation, Brennan overheard Captain Rodriguez speaking quietly to Thompson near the tent entrance. "Keep it simple for her up there," the captain said. "Standard Overwatch protocol, nothing complicated. She can handle basic surveillance and communication without getting in our way." Thompson nodded in agreement, and both men glanced in her direction before stepping outside into the pre-dawn darkness. The tent emptied quickly, leaving Brennan alone with her equipment and the clear understanding that her teammates viewed her assignment as the military equivalent of being sent to sit at the children's table. She opened her rifle case and began her methodical preparation routine, checking each component with the precision of someone who had performed these same steps countless times under conditions far more challenging than anyone in that tent had imagined. 2 hours before dawn, Brennan made her way through the pre-positioned equipment area where the assault team was conducting final gear checks. Specialist Chen looked up from his night vision calibration and nodded toward her rifle case. "Hope you brought extra ammunition for target practice up there," he said with a grin that his teammates shared. "Might get boring just watching us do the real work." Staff Sergeant Williams finished securing his rappelling gear and joined the conversation. "How many confirmed kills you got, Brennan?" His question carried the tone of someone already certain the answer would be disappointing. When she replied with a quiet professional response about classified operations, Williams chuckled and shook his head. "Right, classified. That usually means 0 in my experience." The equipment tent buzzed with the efficient movement of operators who had worked together through multiple deployments. Brennan watched them move with the synchronized precision of a unit that trusted each member completely, and she noticed how their communication patterns excluded her from anything beyond basic courtesy. Martinez checked his ammunition counts aloud for his partner's verification, while Thompson reviewed emergency extraction signals with Hayes, but nobody asked about her preparation or offered to coordinate procedures. Private First Class Jackson approached her position near the communications equipment, his expression mixing curiosity with the same skeptical undertone she had encountered from everyone else. "You ever been in actual combat, Brennan? I mean, besides training exercises?" She confirmed her deployment history, but Jackson's response suggested he remained unconvinced. "Yeah, but Overwatch is different from real engagement. Up there you are basically just calling plays while we handle the action." Captain Rodriguez emerged from his final briefing with higher command and surveyed the preparation area with satisfaction. His gaze lingered on each operator's setup, offering brief comments and adjustments. But when he reached Brennan's position, his inspection was perfunctory. "Make sure your scope covers the eastern approach," he said without examining her equipment. "That is where any surprises will come from if they come at all." Sergeant Thompson finished checking his sidearm and holstered it with the fluid motion of someone who had performed the action thousands of times. He glanced at Brennan's rifle case and made a comment to Chun that carried across the tent despite his lowered voice. 3,000 meters is a hell of a distance. Most snipers struggle with accuracy beyond 1,500 in perfect conditions. Chun nodded in agreement and added his own observation about wind calculations and bullet drop at extreme ranges. The conversation continued with several operators sharing stories about difficult shots they had witnessed or attempted, each anecdote emphasizing the exceptional skill required for long-distance precision work. Williams described a Navy SEAL sniper who had missed multiple targets at similar distances during a joint operation, while Martinez recalled an Army Ranger instructor who consistently warned students about the impossibility of reliable accuracy beyond 2,000 meters. Hayes finished his communication checks and approached Brennan with a final briefing packet containing weather conditions and wind speed projections for her position. "Looks like you will have variable crosswinds up there," he said, pointing to the meteorological data. "Could get tricky if anything requires precision shooting." His tone suggested he expected any shooting to be suppressive fire rather than accurate engagement. As dawn approached, the assault team began their final equipment distribution and route confirmation. Brennan listened to their coordination discussions and noted how smoothly their roles interlocked, each operator understanding exactly how his actions would support the others. Chun would provide explosive breaching, Martinez would handle close-quarters engagement, Williams would secure the perimeter, and Thompson would coordinate communications with command. Her role remained conspicuously separate from their integrated plan. Private Jackson secured his gear and made a final comment that summarized the team's collective assessment. "Good thing Overwatch does not require much beyond staying awake and talking on a radio. If things get serious down there, we will handle it ourselves." His teammates murmured agreement, and several exchanged glances that reinforced their shared belief that the mission's success would depend entirely on their actions in the valley. Captain Rodriguez called for final formation and reviewed the timeline one last time. Movement to positions would begin in 30 minutes, with Overwatch establishing surveillance 15 minutes before the assault team reached their jump-off point. "Remember," he said, looking directly at Brennan, "your job is observation and communication. Leave the tactical decisions to the people who will be in contact with the enemy." The equipment tent gradually emptied as operators moved to their final staging positions, their conversations shifting to the focused efficiency that marked the transition from preparation to execution. Brennan completed her own preparations in relative isolation, checking her scope adjustment and range cards while the assault team conducted their final rehearsal outside. She could hear their voices through the canvas, reviewing contingency plans and coordination signals with the confidence of soldiers who knew they could depend on each other completely. As she secured her gear and prepared to move to the Overwatch position, Brennan overheard Martinez making a final observation to Chun about the mission structure. "At least we know she will be safe up there," he said. "Worst case scenario, she can call for extraction if things get too complicated for her to handle." The climb to the Overwatch position took Brennan 45 minutes through rocky terrain that rose 800 feet above the valley floor. She moved silently through the pre-dawn darkness, her equipment secured to eliminate noise, while below her the assault team followed their separate route toward the target compound. Radio chatter remained minimal during movement, but she could hear Captain Rodriguez conducting periodic check-ins with each team member as they approached their designated positions. At grid reference 7748, Brennan established her hide site behind a natural rock formation that provided both concealment and an unobstructed view of the valley below. The target compound sat exactly 3,200 meters away across open ground, its buildings clearly visible through her scope despite the distance. She completed her range calculations and wind measurements, then reported her position status to Rodriguez with professional brevity. Overwatch in position and operational, she transmitted, her voice carrying clearly through the communication system to all team members. Rodriguez acknowledged her report with equal brevity before continuing his coordination with the assault elements. The response felt perfunctory, as if checking a minor administrative requirement rather than confirming a critical mission component. Through her scope, Brennan could observe the assault team's movement as they approached their final staging area 1,500 meters from the compound. Their tactical spacing and coordination appeared flawless, each operator maintaining proper intervals while advancing through terrain that offered limited concealment. She watched Martinez signal for a brief halt while Chun checked for electronic surveillance equipment, their movements demonstrating the professional competence that had earned them selection for this mission. The radio crackled with Thompson's voice providing a status update to Rodriguez. "Primary assault element in position. All systems operational. Ready to commence final approach on your signal." Rodriguez responded immediately, his tone carrying the confidence of a commander who trusted his team's capabilities completely. Chun reported successful completion of his surveillance sweep, while Williams confirmed perimeter security protocols were in place. From her elevated position, Brennan could see details of the compound that were invisible to the assault team at ground level. 2 guard positions on the northern building appear to be manned, and she noted vehicle movement near the eastern structure that suggested additional personnel. She transmitted these observations to Rodriguez, who acknowledged the information before relaying adjusted approach vectors to his operators. Hayes checked in with his section's readiness status, reporting that all equipment functioned properly and coordination signals were clear. Martinez confirmed his breaching charges were armed and positioned for immediate deployment, while Jackson verified his communication link with the extraction helicopter remained strong. Each report reinforced the smooth functioning of a team that had trained extensively together and developed complete confidence in their collective abilities. The morning light began to filter into the valley, providing better visibility but also increasing the risk of detection for the assault team. Rodriguez adjusted their timeline accordingly, instructing each operator to verify their concealment while maintaining readiness for immediate action. Brennan watched through her scope as they shifted positions with minimal movement, their tactical discipline evident in every calculated adjustment. Radio protocol remained crisp and professional as the team completed their final preparations. Chun reported successful placement of his surveillance equipment. Thompson confirmed communication links with higher command, and Williams verified that extraction routes remained clear. The coordination demonstrated their thorough preparation and mutual trust, with each operator understanding exactly how his role supported the overall mission success. Through her scope, Brennan observed movement within the compound that suggested the occupants were beginning their daily routines. Guard positions changed with what appeared to be a shift rotation, and additional personnel became visible near several buildings. She transmitted detailed position reports to Rodriguez, who acknowledged the intelligence before incorporating it into his tactical assessment. The assault team maintained their staging positions while Rodriguez conducted final coordination with supporting elements. Helicopter assets confirmed their readiness, while artillery support verified their targeting data and communication frequencies. Each confirmation added another layer to the complex coordination required for the mission's success, with every element understanding their specific role in a larger operation. Sergeant Thompson's voice came through the communication system with characteristic precision as he reported his team's status. All personnel ready for action. Equipment operational. Awaiting final authorization to commence assault. Rodriguez responded with equal professionalism, acknowledging the report before beginning his final countdown sequence. From her position on the ridge, Brennan could see the entire tactical situation spread below her like a three-dimensional map. The assault team held their concealed positions with disciplined patience. The compound continued its morning activities with no apparent awareness of the approaching danger, and the various support elements maintained their coordinated readiness. Her role as Overwatch placed her at the intersection of all these moving parts, responsible for maintaining situational awareness that none of the other participants could achieve from their positions. The radio remained active with final status checks as Rodriguez prepared to initiate the assault phase. Each operator confirmed his readiness using prescribed brevity codes, their voices carrying the calm professionalism that marked experienced combat soldiers approaching a dangerous mission. Martinez verified his explosive charges. Chin confirmed his surveillance equipment remained undetected. Hayes reported clear communication links, and Williams acknowledged his perimeter security status. Captain Rodriguez's final transmission carried the authority of a commander who had complete confidence in his team's preparation and capabilities. All elements stand by for assault commencement. Operation initiation in 60 seconds. The countdown began with mechanical precision, each second bringing the mission closer to the moment when preparation would transition to execution and every operator's training would face the ultimate test of actual combat. The assault commenced exactly on schedule, with Chin's explosive breach of the compound's eastern perimeter. Through her scope, Brennan watched the coordinated movement of Rodriguez's team as they flowed through the opening with practiced precision, each operator moving to his assigned sector while maintaining tactical spacing and communication discipline. The sound of the explosion echoed across the valley and reached her position 3 seconds after the flash. Martinez immediately engaged 2 targets near the northern building, his suppressed rifle producing minimal sound signature while eliminating threats that might have compromised the assault team's advance. Thompson coordinated the team's movement through rapid hand signals, directing Hayes toward the central structure while Williams secured the western approach. Their coordination appeared flawless, each man executing his role with the confidence that came from extensive training and mutual trust. Rodriguez's voice came through the communication system with calm authority as he reported the initial phase completion. Perimeter secured. Primary targets neutralized. Advancing to secondary objectives. Brennan acknowledged his transmission and continued scanning the surrounding area for additional threats, her scope covering approaches that the assault team could not observe from their positions within the compound. The radio chatter increased as the team encountered unexpected resistance from the central building. Chin reported additional hostile positions that had not appeared in their intelligence briefing, while Hayes called for suppressive fire to cover his advance toward a fortified doorway. Williams adjusted his position to provide better flanking support, his movements visible through Brennan's scope as he maneuvered around debris from the initial breach. Thompson's transmission carried the first note of tension as the situation developed beyond their original parameters. Contact with unknown number of hostiles in Building 2. Resistance heavier than anticipated. Rodriguez acknowledged the report while directing Martinez to provide covering fire for Hayes's continued advance. The tactical situation remained under control, but the increased complexity required constant adjustment of their coordinated response. Through her scope, Brennan observed movement in areas beyond the assault team's immediate field of view. Additional personnel appeared to be moving toward the compound from concealed positions to the south, their approach route invisible to Rodriguez's team, but clearly visible from her elevated overwatch position. She transmitted the intelligence immediately, her voice cutting through the tactical chatter with urgent precision. Multiple hostiles approaching from south-southeast. Estimated 6 to 8 personnel. Distance approximately 800 meters and closing. Rodriguez acknowledged her transmission while directing Williams to adjust his position to counter the approaching threat. The assault team's tactical formation shifted smoothly to accommodate the new information, their response demonstrating the value of accurate overwatch intelligence. Martinez engaged targets through a window in the northern building, his precision shooting eliminating threats while avoiding civilian areas that intelligence had identified within the structure. Hayes successfully breached the fortified entrance and disappeared into the central building with Chun providing immediate backup. Their progress continued despite the increased resistance, each operator adapting to the evolving situation while maintaining their coordinated approach. The approaching hostile force from the south moved with tactical discipline that suggested military training rather than the irregular forces they had expected to encounter. Brennan tracked their movement through her scope and provided continuous updates to Rodriguez, who incorporated the intelligence into his tactical decisions while coordinating his team's response to multiple simultaneous threats. Williams repositioned to address the southern approach, while Thompson maintained coordination between all team elements. The radio traffic remained controlled despite the increasing complexity, each transmission providing essential information without cluttering the communication frequency. Rodriguez's leadership kept the team focused on their primary objectives while adapting to the unexpected tactical developments. Chen's voice reported successful penetration of the central building and contact with primary targets, his transmission confirming that the mission's main objectives remained achievable despite the additional complications. Hayes provided security while Chun conducted his specialized tasks, their partnership demonstrating the seamless coordination that marked experienced operators working under pressure. The hostile force from the south continued their advance with movements that suggested they intended to encircle the compound and trap the assault team inside. Brennan calculated their approach vectors and transmitted detailed position reports that allowed Rodriguez to anticipate their tactics and adjust his team's defensive preparations accordingly. Her elevated position provided tactical intelligence that proved increasingly valuable as the situation developed. Martinez completed his assigned tasks in the northern building and moved to support Williams against the approaching threat from the south. Their repositioning occurred smoothly despite the pressure, each operator trusting his teammates to maintain their sectors while he shifted to address new priorities. Thompson continued his coordination role, directing the team's movements while maintaining communication with higher command. The tactical situation required constant adaptation as new information modified their operational requirements. Rodriguez demonstrated excellent command judgment by maintaining focus on primary objectives while addressing immediate threats, his decisions keeping the team unified and effective despite the complexity. Each operator continued performing his specialized role while supporting the overall mission success. Through her scope, Brennan maintained surveillance of the entire tactical area while providing continuous intelligence updates to support the assault team's decision-making. The approaching hostile force had reached positions where they would soon pose direct threats to the team's planned extraction route, creating additional urgency for completing the mission objectives and beginning withdrawal procedures. The radio carried Thompson's report of successful completion of secondary objectives, his transmission indicating that the team had achieved their primary goals despite the unexpected resistance. Rodriguez began coordination for extraction procedures while directing his operators to maintain security against the continuing threats from multiple directions. The mission approached its critical transition from assault to withdrawal, requiring precise timing and coordination to ensure safe extraction of all personnel. The situation deteriorated rapidly when Chen's voice crackled through the radio with urgent intensity. Heavy machine gun position on the roof. We are pinned down in Building 2. Request immediate suppression. Through her scope, Brennan could see the muzzle flashes from an elevated position that commanded the entire compound courtyard, effectively trapping Rodriguez's team in their current locations and preventing any movement toward extraction. Rodriguez attempted to coordinate a response while his operators remained under accurate fire from the machine gun nest. Martinez cannot get an angle from his position, and Williams is too far south to engage effectively. Thompson tried directing Hayes to find alternative routes, but every approach to the extraction point remained under direct observation from the hostile position that had appeared without warning on the compound's high structure. The approaching force from the south had accelerated their advance and now occupied positions that blocked the primary extraction route. Williams reported their movement with professional calm despite the tactical pressure. Southern hostiles have reached phase line alpha. Estimate squad-sized element with automatic weapons. Our planned withdrawal route is compromised. Rodriguez acknowledged the report while calculating alternatives that would allow his team to disengage safely. Hayes transmitted from inside the central building with information that complicated their situation further. Multiple civilians present in lower level cannot use explosive solutions without significant collateral damage. Chun confirmed the assessment while maintaining security, his position inside the structure providing protection from the machine gun but limiting his ability to support the team's extraction efforts. Through her scope, Brennan observed additional movement that suggested the tactical situation was becoming untenable for the assault team. More personnel were moving toward the compound from the eastern approach, their numbers and equipment indicating a coordinated response rather than spontaneous resistance. She transmitted the intelligence while calculating distances and wind conditions for potential engagement solutions. Additional hostiles approaching from east. Estimated 12 to 15 personnel with vehicle support. Distance 2,200 meters and closing. Rodriguez received the transmission with acknowledgement that carried undertones of concern about his team's ability to handle simultaneous threats from multiple directions while protecting civilian lives and completing their mission objectives. Martinez attempted to reposition for better fields of fire, but the machine gun nest maintained accurate suppression that prevented effective movement. Every time he exposed himself for shooting positions, immediate fire forced him back to cover behind inadequate protection. Williams faced similar constraints from his southern position, where the approaching squad had established overlapping fields of fire that eliminated his maneuvering options. Thompson's coordination efforts focused on finding tactical solutions that would allow the team to break contact successfully, but each option required movement under fire or abandonment of mission objectives that higher command had designated as critical priorities. The machine gun position dominated the tactical environment with placement that suggested professional military planning rather than improvised defensive measures. Chun reported completion of primary objectives inside the central building, but Hayes confirmed that civilian evacuation remained impossible while the machine gun maintained suppressive fire over the courtyard. Any attempt to move non-combatants would expose them to direct fire from an elevated position that commanded every potential route to safety. The radio traffic reflected increasing pressure as multiple simultaneous threats converged on the assault team's position. Rodriguez maintained command authority while adapting to tactical realities that exceeded their original mission parameters. Williams reported ammunition concerns as sustained engagement with the Southern force depleted his basic load, while Martinez faced similar constraints from extended suppressive fire exchanges. Through her scope, Brennan tracked the Eastern Vehicle Column as it approached positions where it would provide additional fire support for the hostile forces already engaging Rodriguez's team. The tactical mathematics suggested the assault team would face overwhelming firepower within minutes unless the situation changed dramatically in their favor. Hayes transmitted updates about civilian status, while Chun provided security inside the central building. Movement remains impossible while machine gun maintains suppression. Civilians include women and children who cannot be abandoned. Rodriguez acknowledged the report while coordinating with higher command about modified extraction procedures that might account for non-combatant evacuation requirements. The machine gun position continued its systematic suppression of the compound, its crew demonstrating professional fire discipline that suggested military training and adequate ammunition supplies for sustained engagement. Martinez attempted another repositioning effort but drew immediate accurate fire that forced him to abort the movement and return to inadequate cover behind structural debris. Williams reported increasing pressure from the Southern force as they established positions that would allow them to assault the compound directly. Hostiles moving to assault positions cannot maintain current defensive posture much longer. Thompson coordinated defensive fires while Rodriguez calculated options for team extraction that would not compromise civilian safety or mission completion. The Eastern Vehicle Column reached positions where they began deploying personnel to reinforce the existing hostile forces. Brennan observed their tactical deployment through her scope and transmitted detailed intelligence about their numbers, equipment, and probable assault routes. Rodriguez acknowledged the information while directing his operators to prepare for coordinated defensive actions against multiple attack vectors. Chen's voice carried additional urgency as the tactical situation approached crisis levels. Machine gun shifting fires toward Building 2. If they concentrate on our position, civilian casualties become inevitable. Hayes confirmed the assessment while maintaining security, his position inside the structure providing some protection but limited options for supporting the team's extraction efforts. The radio chatter reflected the complexity of simultaneous tactical problems that required immediate solutions. Rodriguez demonstrated excellent command judgment by maintaining focus on mission priorities while adapting to tactical realities, but the converging threats suggested the assault team faced overwhelming odds without significant support or dramatic changes in the tactical environment. Captain Rodriguez's voice carried unprecedented urgency as he transmitted to higher command while his team remained pinned under increasingly accurate fire. Request immediate close air support or artillery fire mission. Machine gun position has us completely suppressed. Cannot extract without eliminating that threat. The response crackled through his earpiece with disappointing clarity. Negative on air support. Weather conditions prevent helicopter operations. Artillery unavailable due to civilian proximity requirements. The tactical mathematics had become stark and unforgiving. Thompson attempted to coordinate suppressive fire from multiple team positions, but their small arms could not achieve the elevation necessary to engage the machine gun nest effectively. Martinez expended ammunition attempting to suppress the position while Williams maintained defensive fires against the southern approach, but neither effort produced tactical advantage against their increasingly desperate situation. Through her scope, Brennan calculated the precise range to the machine gun position at 3,427 meters, well beyond the effective range that any member of the assault team could achieve with their standard equipment. The wind conditions remained variable, with crosswinds gusting to 15 knots, creating additional complexity for any precision engagement attempt at such extreme distance. Hayes transmitted from inside the central building with information that added time pressure to their tactical crisis. Civilians are becoming panicked by the sustained gunfire. Children are crying and adults are demanding explanations we cannot provide. If this engagement continues much longer, we risk complete loss of population control inside the structure. Chun confirmed the assessment while maintaining security at the building's entrance. Rodriguez attempted coordination with Williams and Martinez to create simultaneous suppressive fires that might allow movement, but their positions lacked the angles necessary to engage the elevated machine gun effectively. Every tactical option required movement under direct observation from a position that had demonstrated accurate fire control and adequate ammunition for sustained engagement. The Eastern Vehicle Column completed their deployment and began advancing toward assault positions that would allow them to attack the compound from multiple directions simultaneously. Brennan tracked their movement through her scope and transmitted detailed updates about their tactical formation and probable assault timing. Rodriguez acknowledged the intelligence while calculating the shrinking time window for extraction. Martinez reported ammunition status that reflected the sustained engagement requirements. Down to 2 magazines for primary weapon. Cannot maintain suppressive fires much longer without resupply. Williams confirmed similar constraints from his southern position, where extended engagement with the approaching squad had depleted his basic ammunition load significantly. Through the communication system, Rodriguez could be heard coordinating with higher command about emergency resupply or extraction alternatives, but the responses indicated limited options given the tactical situation and weather constraints. The machine gun position continued its systematic suppression, preventing any movement that would allow the team to reach better fighting positions or extraction points. Chun transmitted updates about civilian status, while Hayes maintained security inside the central building. Population control becoming increasingly difficult. Request guidance on civilian evacuation procedures under fire. Rodriguez acknowledged the transmission while continuing his coordination efforts with higher command about modified mission parameters that might allow successful extraction. The machine gun crew demonstrated professional fire discipline by maintaining accurate suppression without wasting ammunition, their tactical approach suggesting military training and coordinated fire control procedures. Every time Martinez or Williams attempted to engage the position, immediate suppressive fire forced them back to cover without achieving target effect. Thompson's voice carried frustration as he reported tactical assessment to Rodriguez. Cannot establish effective fires against elevated position from current locations. Would require movement to alternative positions under direct observation from hostile forces. The tactical reality suggested the assault team faced a situation where standard infantry solutions remained inadequate against the threat array. The radio crackled with Rodriguez's transmission to his team as he outlined their deteriorating tactical options. Extraction helicopter cannot operate in current weather. Artillery support denied due to civilian proximity. Air support unavailable until weather clears. We need alternative solutions for eliminating that machine gun position immediately. Hayes confirmed increasing pressure inside the central building as civilian panic escalated with continued gunfire. Children are becoming hysterical and adults are demanding immediate evacuation. Cannot maintain population control much longer without resolution of external tactical situation. Chun provided security while monitoring the building's multiple entrances for potential hostile penetration attempts. Through her scope, Brennan observed the machine gun position in detail, noting the crew's tactical placement and the precise angles necessary for effective engagement from her overwatch location. The range exceeded standard engagement parameters by significant margins, but the tactical geometry provided clear lines of sight that would allow precision engagement if executed with exceptional accuracy. Williams transmitted reports about the Southern forces' continued advance toward assault positions. Hostiles have reached final approach positions. Estimate assault commencement within 10 minutes based on current movement rates. Cannot maintain defensive fires without ammunition resupply that appears unavailable given current tactical constraints. The Eastern Vehicle Column deployed additional personnel who began establishing firing positions that would support a coordinated assault on the compound from multiple directions. Rodriguez acknowledged intelligence updates while directing his operators to prepare for defensive actions against overwhelming numerical superiority and superior positioning. Martinez attempted another repositioning effort to achieve better engagement angles against the machine gun position, but drew immediate accurate fire that forced him to abort movement and return to inadequate cover. Every tactical option required exposure to fire from positions that commanded the entire compound area with professional accuracy and sustained ammunition supplies. The communication frequency carried increasing urgency as multiple tactical problems converged without apparent solutions using standard infantry capabilities. Rodriguez maintained command authority while coordinating with higher command about emergency extraction procedures. But weather limitations and tactical constraints suggested the assault team faced isolation until dramatic changes occurred in the tactical environment or weather conditions improved significantly. Rodriguez's voice cut through the radio chatter with the tone of a commander facing impossible tactical mathematics. That machine gun position is 3,400 meters from our location. Nobody in this team can make that shot with standard equipment under these conditions. The statement hung in the communication frequency like a death sentence, acknowledged by silence from operators who understood the tactical reality of their situation. Thompson confirmed the range calculation with his own assessment. Even our designated marksmen cannot engage effectively beyond 2,500 meters in optimal conditions. This distance exceeds every engagement parameter we trained for. Martinez agreed with grim professionalism, his voice reflecting the frustration of a skilled operator facing limitations imposed by physics and equipment constraints. Through her scope, Brennan observed the machine gun crew as they maintained their systematic suppression of the compound while conserving ammunition for sustained engagement. Their tactical discipline suggested professional military training, and their positioning indicated understanding of how to dominate terrain through superior elevation and fields of fire that eliminated most conventional response options. Haze transmitted from inside the central building with increasing urgency about civilian status. Population panic reaching critical levels. Children are screaming continuously and adults are demanding immediate evacuation. We cannot maintain control much longer without resolving this tactical situation. Chun confirmed the assessment while monitoring multiple entrances for potential hostile penetration attempts. The Eastern Vehicle Column completed their final positioning and began coordinating with the machine gun crew for synchronized assault timing. Brennan tracked their communications through observed hand signals and movement patterns, then transmitted intelligence that confirmed Rodriguez's worst tactical fears about coordinated attack, timing, and overwhelming numerical superiority. Williams reported ammunition status that reflected the impossible tactical mathematics. Down to final magazine for primary weapon. Cannot provide effective suppressive fires much longer. The Southern Force had established assault positions that would allow them to attack the compound within minutes, their tactical formation suggesting professional coordination rather than improvised resistance. Rodriguez attempted one final coordination with higher command about emergency extraction alternatives, but the radio response confirmed their isolation. Weather conditions prevent all aircraft operations. Ground reinforcement unavailable due to distance and terrain constraints. You are authorized to use any means necessary to extract your team safely. The transmission carried the implicit understanding that conventional solutions had been exhausted. Through the communication system, operators could hear the strain in Rodriguez's voice as he calculated their remaining options. We need someone who can make an impossible shot at impossible range under impossible conditions. The machine gun position represents our only viable extraction route, and standard tactics cannot eliminate that threat effectively. Martinez attempted another suppressive fire effort against the machine gun position, but his rounds fell short by significant margins, demonstrating the futility of engaging targets at such extreme range with standard infantry weapons. The machine gun crew responded with accurate fire that forced him back to cover while confirming their professional competence and adequate ammunition supplies. Thompson's tactical assessment reflected the mathematical reality facing the assault team. Every conventional solution requires movement under direct observation from superior positions. Cannot achieve tactical advantage using standard infantry capabilities against this threat array. The coordination frequency carried the subtle tension of professional soldiers recognizing the limits of their training and equipment. The radio crackled with Rodriguez's transmission to Brennan, his voice carrying a tone that mixed desperation with skeptical hope. "Overwatch, can you engage that machine gun position from your location?" The question reflected his awareness that standard tactical doctrine considered such engagement impossible, but tactical necessity demanded exploring every potential option regardless of probability. Brennan's response carried calm professionalism that contrasted sharply with the tension evident in the assault team's communications. "Affirmative. I have clear line of sight to target. Range 3,427 meters. Wind conditions variable but manageable. Ready to engage on your command." The transmission created silence on the communication frequency as operators processed the implications of her assessment. Hayes confirmed increasing pressure inside the central building as civilian panic reached critical levels. "Cannot maintain population control much longer. Request immediate resolution of external tactical situation." Chin provided security while monitoring the building's multiple entrances, his position inside the structure offering protection but limiting his ability to support extraction efforts. Through her scope, Brennan calculated the precise adjustments necessary for engaging the machine gun position under current wind conditions. The shot required compensation for significant bullet drop over extreme distance, crosswind deflection that varied with altitude, and target movement that created additional complexity for accurate placement at such range. Williams transmitted final ammunition status reports that confirmed the tactical timeline. Expended all but emergency reserves. Cannot maintain suppressive fires against southern approach much longer. The hostile forces had reached positions where they could assault the compound directly, their tactical formation suggesting coordinated attack, timing that would overwhelm the assault team's defensive capabilities. Rodriguez's voice carried the authority of a commander making final tactical decisions under extreme pressure. "Overwatch, you're authorized to engage machine gun position immediately. All other elements will provide diversionary fires on your signal. This is our only viable extraction option." The transmission reflected his recognition that conventional tactics had failed completely. The communication frequency carried unusual tension as operators prepared for an engagement attempt that exceeded every tactical parameter they had trained for. Martinez and Williams confirmed their readiness to provide diversionary fires, while Thompson coordinated timing for the synchronized effort that represented their only remaining hope for successful extraction. Through her scope, Brennan observed the machine gun crew maintaining their professional suppression of the compound, while unaware that they had moved within range of capabilities that exceeded standard tactical expectations. Her preparation routine proceeded with methodical precision, each adjustment calculated to compensate for the extreme range and challenging environmental conditions that made this engagement theoretically impossible. Brennan settled into her shooting position with the methodical precision of someone who had performed this routine under conditions far more challenging than anyone on the assault team could imagine. Her breathing regulated to the controlled rhythm that optimized stability, while her scope adjustments compensated for the extreme range and variable wind conditions that made this engagement theoretically impossible according to standard tactical doctrine. The first shot broke with perfect timing during her natural respiratory pause. The rifle's recoil absorbed smoothly through proper body positioning as the bullet began its 3-second flight toward the machine gun position. Through her scope, she observed the projectile's impact precisely where she had calculated, striking the primary gunner center mass and eliminating the threat with surgical accuracy that defied every expectation about long-range engagement capabilities. For 2 seconds, absolute silence dominated the communication frequency as operators processed what they had just witnessed. Then Thompson's voice cracked slightly as he transmitted the impossible reality. "Target down. Machine gun position neutralized. How did she make that shot? The question hung unanswered in the tactical frequency, while 17 skeptics began recalibrating everything they had believed about Overwatch capabilities. Rodriguez's response carried stunned disbelief mixed with professional relief. Confirmed. Machine gun position eliminated. All elements prepare for immediate extraction. His voice reflected the psychological adjustment required to accept that their tactical crisis had been resolved by capabilities that exceeded every parameter they had trained to expect from standard Overwatch support. Martinez immediately began movement toward the extraction point, his advance no longer constrained by suppressive fire from the elevated position that had dominated the compound. Outstanding shot, Brennan. That was impossible range under these conditions. His transmission reflected genuine amazement from a professional marksman who understood the technical difficulty of what she had just accomplished. Through her scope, Brennan tracked the eastern vehicle column as their tactical coordination dissolved following the unexpected elimination of their fire support. The hostile forces had planned their assault around machine gun suppression, and its sudden removal left them exposed to defensive fires from the assault team, while their attack timing became completely disrupted. Williams engaged targets from the southern approach with renewed effectiveness, now that he could maneuver without concern about suppressive fire from the elevated position. The tactical situation transformed immediately from desperate defense to controlled extraction, the assault team's superior training and coordination reasserting dominance once the overwhelming fire support advantage had been eliminated. Hayes transmitted from inside the central building with obvious relief about civilian status. Population panic subsiding with cessation of machine gun fire. Children have stopped crying and adults are responding to evacuation instructions. Chun confirmed successful completion of primary objectives while maintaining security during the civilian evacuation process. The radio carried Thompson's coordination of extraction procedures as the assault team moved efficiently toward designated pickup points. All elements moving to extraction. Overwatch provided the tactical solution that saved this mission. His transmission acknowledged the complete reversal of their tactical situation through capabilities that none of them had anticipated from their backup support element. Rodriguez directed the team's movement with renewed confidence as they advanced through areas that had been death traps only minutes earlier. Outstanding marksmanship, Brennan. That shot eliminated our primary tactical problem and enabled successful mission completion. His voice carried professional respect that contrasted sharply with the dismissive tone he had used during mission planning. Through her scope, Brennan observed the Eastern hostile forces beginning withdrawal procedures as their tactical advantage disappeared with the machine gun's elimination. Their coordinated attack had depended on suppressive fire that no longer existed, leaving them exposed to superior firepower from operators who could now maneuver freely throughout the compound area. Martinez completed his movement to the extraction point and established security, while other team members continued their evacuation of civilians and mission materials. Cannot believe that shot. 3,400 meters in variable wind conditions with a first-round hit on a moving target. His transmission reflected the technical appreciation of someone who understood exactly what level of skill had been demonstrated. Williams disengaged from the southern approach as hostile forces withdrew in the face of changed tactical mathematics. They lost their fire support advantage and cannot maintain assault momentum without machine gun suppression. The tactical situation had reversed completely through elimination of the single position that had dominated the entire engagement area. Hayes coordinated civilian evacuation with Chun while maintaining communication with Rodriguez about extraction timing. All non-combatants secured and ready for movement. Primary objectives completed successfully. Chun confirmed the status while monitoring multiple entrances for any remaining hostile presence within the compound structures. The communication frequency carried a different tone as operators coordinated extraction procedures without the desperate urgency that had characterized their earlier transmissions. Thompson directed movement with professional efficiency while acknowledging that their tactical crisis had been resolved through capabilities that exceeded every expectation about standard Overwatch support functions. Through her scope, Brennan maintained surveillance of the extraction routes while tracking the withdrawal of hostile forces who had lost their tactical advantage with the machine gun's elimination. The Eastern Vehicle Column retreated beyond effective engagement range, their assault timing completely disrupted by the unexpected elimination of their critical fire support element. Rodriguez transmitted coordination with higher command about successful mission completion and extraction procedures. Primary objectives achieved. All personnel accounted for. Civilian evacuation completed without casualties. Mission success enabled by exceptional Overwatch support that eliminated critical hostile position at extreme range under challenging conditions. The radio carried acknowledgement from team members as they completed their individual responsibilities and prepared for helicopter extraction. Martinez verified security at the pickup point. Williams confirmed disengagement from hostile forces. Hayes reported civilian evacuation completion, and Chen acknowledged successful completion of primary objectives within the compound structures. Thompson's final transmission reflected the psychological transformation that had occurred within the assault team. Outstanding mission execution by all elements. Special recognition for Overwatch element that provided tactical solution beyond standard operational parameters. The assault team's perspective on their backup support had changed completely through demonstration of capabilities that none of them had imagined possible. The extraction helicopter's approach created new tactical complications when the pilot's voice crackled through the communication system with urgent concern. Taking heavy fire from multiple positions. Cannot maintain approach vector under current conditions. Request immediate suppression of hostile firing positions along flight path. The aircraft pulled away from the landing zone as tracer rounds illuminated its retreat path through the morning sky. Rodriguez immediately coordinated with his team to identify the source of anti-aircraft fire that prevented extraction. Thompson reported multiple muzzle flashes from elevated positions along the helicopter's approach route, while Martinez confirmed similar observations from different firing points that suggested coordinated air defense rather than spontaneous resistance. Through her scope, Brennan identified 4 separate firing positions situated on ridgelines that commanded the extraction zone. The ranges varied from 2,800 to 3,600 meters, each position carefully placed to create overlapping fields of fire that would eliminate any aircraft attempting to land in the designated pickup area. Their tactical placement demonstrated professional military planning rather than improvised defensive measures. Hayes transmitted from the extraction point with increasing urgency about their tactical timeline. Hostile ground forces regrouping for another assault attempt. Cannot maintain defensive positions much longer without ammunition resupply. Chun confirmed the assessment while monitoring approaches to their perimeter, his observation indicating that their tactical advantage from eliminating the machine gun would be temporary, without successful extraction. The pilot's second approach attempt resulted in immediate engagement from all 4 anti-aircraft positions simultaneously, taking accurate fire from multiple elevations. Cannot complete landing under these conditions. Require elimination of hostile firing positions before extraction becomes viable. The helicopter withdrew again, while Rodriguez calculated options for neutralizing threats that exceeded his team's engagement capabilities. Williams reported ammunition status that reflected their continued tactical constraints. Expanded significant reserves during compound assault. Cannot provide effective suppressive fires against elevated positions at these ranges with remaining ammunition. Martinez confirmed similar limitations from his position, where extended engagement had depleted his basic load beyond levels that would allow sustained defensive operations. Through the communication system, Rodriguez could be heard coordinating with higher command about alternative extraction methods. But weather conditions continued preventing other aircraft operations while ground reinforcement remained impossible due to distance and terrain constraints. The assault team faced isolation until the anti-aircraft threat could be eliminated through means that exceeded their conventional capabilities. Thompson attempted to coordinate suppressive fires against the closest anti-aircraft position, but the range exceeded effective engagement parameters for his team's standard equipment. Cannot achieve target effect at 2,800 meters with current weapons. Would require specialized long-range capabilities that we do not possess. His transmission reflected professional assessment of tactical limitations. The radio carried Rodriguez's acknowledgement that standard infantry solutions remained inadequate against the threat array. For separate positions at extended ranges with overlapping fields of fire. Elimination requires precision engagement capabilities beyond our current resources. The statement reflected his growing recognition that their extraction depended entirely on Overwatch capabilities that had already exceeded every expectation. Brennan's voice cut through the tactical frequency with calm professionalism that contrasted sharply with the tension evident in other transmissions. I have clear observation of all 4 positions. Ranges between 2,800 and 3,600 meters. Wind conditions remain variable, but manageable for precision engagement. Ready to eliminate threats on your command. The communication frequency carried stunned silence as operators processed the implication that their Overwatch element proposed to engage 4 separate targets at extreme ranges under challenging conditions. Martinez was the first to respond, his voice reflecting disbelief mixed with desperate hope. Can you actually eliminate all 4 positions from your location? Hayes transmitted updates about ground threat status while the team considered their tactical options. Hostile forces continuing approach toward extraction zone. Time becoming critical factor for successful disengagement. Chun confirmed increasing pressure from multiple directions as enemy forces adapted their tactics following the machine gun elimination. Rodriguez's authorization carried the weight of a commander with no alternative options. Overwatch, you're cleared to engage all anti-aircraft positions immediately. Extraction depends on elimination of those threats within the next 10 minutes. The transmission reflected his complete dependence on capabilities that defied every tactical parameter his team had been trained to expect. Through her scope, Brennan calculated engagement sequences that would maximize efficiency while minimizing the time hostile forces had to adapt between shots. The first position offered the clearest target presentation, while the 4th required compensation for maximum range and wind deflection that approached the theoretical limits of precision engagement under field conditions. Thompson coordinated diversionary fires to mask the sound signature of her shots, while Williams prepared to provide immediate assessment of target effects. Martinez positioned himself to observe the extraction zone for any remaining threats that might appear following elimination of the primary anti-aircraft positions. The pilot maintained holding pattern at safe distance while monitoring the tactical frequency for updates about threat elimination. Standing by for immediate extraction once firing positions are neutralized. Aircraft ready for rapid approach and pickup upon confirmation of suppressed anti-aircraft capability. Hayes reported continuing pressure from ground forces as hostile elements move closer to the extraction zone. Cannot maintain perimeter security much longer without resolution of air defense threat. Time factor becoming critical for mission success. Chun confirmed similar observations from his position while maintaining surveillance of multiple approach routes. Rodriguez transmitted final coordination instructions as the tactical situation approached resolution through capabilities that exceeded every conventional parameter. All elements prepare for immediate extraction following Overwatch engagement of anti-aircraft positions. This represents our only viable option for successful mission completion. The communication frequency carried unusual tension as professional soldiers prepared to depend on marksmanship capabilities that challenged every assumption they had made about standard Overwatch support. Martinez confirmed his readiness to assess target effects. Williams verified his position for extraction security, and Thompson acknowledged coordination for diversionary fires that would support the engagement sequence. Through her scope, Brennan observed the 4 anti-aircraft positions maintaining their coordinated surveillance of the extraction zone, while unaware that they faced elimination through precision capabilities that operated beyond the range of effective retaliation. Her preparation proceeded with methodical efficiency as she calculated the engagement sequence that would transform their tactical situation from impossible to successful within minutes. Brennan's second shot eliminated the closest anti-aircraft position at 2,800 meters with the same surgical precision that had characterized her machine gun engagement. Through her scope, she observed the target's immediate neutralization before transitioning smoothly to the second position, her breathing and body positioning maintaining perfect stability despite the rapid engagement sequence that defied every expectation about sustained accuracy at extreme ranges. Martinez's voice carried amazement that bordered on disbelief as he confirmed the target effect. Second position neutralized. Clean hit center mass. How is she maintaining this level of accuracy across multiple targets at these distances? His transmission reflected the technical appreciation of a professional marksman who understood that what he was witnessing exceeded every parameter of conventional long-range engagement capabilities. The third shot broke during Brennan's natural respiratory pause as she engaged the position at 3,100 meters, compensating for increased wind deflection and bullet drop that required calculations beyond standard engagement doctrine. The target eliminated immediately upon impact, demonstrating consistency that transformed the tactical situation from desperate to controlled through capabilities that none of the assault team had imagined possible. Rodriguez's coordination became increasingly confident as each impossible shot resolved their tactical crisis through demonstrated excellence that exceeded every assumption about Overwatch support. Outstanding marksmanship, Brennan. 3 positions neutralized in under 2 minutes. Preparing for immediate extraction once final threat is eliminated. His voice carried professional respect that contrasted completely with the dismissive tone he had used during mission planning. Through her scope, Brennan calculated the final engagement against the position at 3,600 meters, the maximum range that approached theoretical limits for precision engagement under field conditions. Wind deflection varied significantly across the extended trajectory, while bullet drop required compensation that pushed her equipment to its absolute performance boundaries under challenging environmental conditions. Thompson coordinated extraction security while monitoring Brennan's engagement of the final anti-aircraft position. Cannot believe what we are witnessing up there. For precision shots at impossible ranges under combat conditions. This level of marksmanship exceeds anything we train to expect from standard Overwatch support. His transmission reflected the psychological adjustment required to accept capabilities that redefined their understanding of long-range engagement possibilities. The fourth shot eliminated the final anti-aircraft position with the same methodical precision that had characterized the entire engagement sequence. Brennan's rifle recoil absorbed smoothly through proper positioning as the bullet completed its flight toward the most distant target, striking precisely where calculated despite range and environmental conditions that exceeded standard tactical parameters by significant margins. Hayes transmitted immediate confirmation of target elimination while coordinating civilian movement toward the extraction point. Final position neutralized. All anti-aircraft threats eliminated. Outstanding precision shooting that enabled mission success. His voice carried genuine amazement from someone who had witnessed marksmanship that challenged every assumption about what was possible under combat conditions. The pilot's voice crackled through the communication system with relief and professional admiration, confirming cessation of anti-aircraft fire. Approaching for immediate extraction. Request confirmation that all threats have been neutralized by Overwatch element. Rodriguez acknowledged while directing his team toward the landing zone, their movement no longer constrained by coordinated fire from positions that had dominated the extraction area only minutes earlier. Williams disengaged from his defensive position and moved toward the extraction point while expressing disbelief about what he had observed. For consecutive hits, at ranges exceeding 3,000 meters. Variable wind conditions and rapid target transitions. This represents marksmanship capabilities beyond anything we have encountered in our combined operational experience. His transmission reflected professional respect, mixed with amazement. Chun completed final security sweeps of the compound, while coordinating with Hayes about civilian evacuation procedures. All primary objectives secured. Non-combatants ready for extraction. Mission success achieved through exceptional Overwatch support that provided tactical solutions beyond standard operational parameters. The tactical situation had transformed completely through demonstrated capabilities that exceeded every expectation. Through her scope, Brennan maintained surveillance of the extraction zone while tracking the helicopter's approach toward the landing area that was now clear of anti-aircraft threats. The hostile ground forces had withdrawn beyond effective engagement range following elimination of their fire support advantages, their tactical coordination disrupted by the unexpected neutralization of critical defensive positions. Martinez established security at the extraction point while continuing to express amazement about the marksmanship demonstration he had witnessed. 17 years of military service, and I have never seen shooting like that. 4 targets eliminated in under 3 minutes at ranges that exceed standard engagement doctrine. Brennan just redefined what we thought was possible from Overwatch support. The communication frequency carried a different tone as operators coordinated extraction procedures with complete confidence that their tactical problems had been resolved through capabilities that none of them had anticipated. Thompson directed movement with professional efficiency while acknowledging that their mission success depended entirely on Overwatch excellence that exceeded every conventional parameter. Rodriguez transmitted coordination with higher command about successful mission completion while the helicopter touched down in the extraction zone. Primary objectives achieved. All personnel accounted for. Civilian evacuation completed successfully. Mission enabled by exceptional Overwatch marksmanship that eliminated critical threats at extreme ranges under challenging combat conditions. Hayes supervised civilian boarding while Chun maintained perimeter security during the extraction process. Outstanding mission execution by all elements. Special recognition required for Overwatch capabilities that provided tactical solutions beyond anything we trained to expect. The assault team's perspective on their support element had transformed completely through demonstration of skills that redefined their understanding of long-range engagement possibilities. The pilot reported successful landing and readiness for immediate departure as the assault team completed their boarding procedures. All threats neutralized by precision shooting that exceeded every parameter we expected. Ready for immediate extraction with all personnel and objectives secured. The helicopter's engines increased power for departure as the mission approached successful completion. Thompson conducted final equipment checks while expressing continued amazement about the marksmanship demonstration that had enabled their survival. Cannot process what we just witnessed. 4 impossible shots under impossible conditions with perfect accuracy. Brennan just demonstrated capabilities that exist beyond our understanding of standard Overwatch support functions. Through the helicopter's communication system, Rodriguez transmitted final mission reports to higher command while acknowledging the exceptional performance that had transformed their tactical disaster into complete success. Mission accomplished through Overwatch marksmanship that exceeded every conventional expectation and enabled extraction under conditions that appeared tactically impossible using standard infantry capabilities. During the helicopter flight back to base, the assault team sat in stunned silence as they processed what they had witnessed from their Overwatch support. Martinez broke the quiet first, his voice barely audible above the aircraft's engine noise. 5 precision shots at ranges exceeding 3,000 meters. Variable wind conditions and moving targets. I have never seen marksmanship like that in 17 years of military service. Captain Rodriguez removed his helmet and ran his hand through his hair, his expression reflecting the psychological adjustment required to accept that his tactical assumptions had been completely wrong. We dismissed her as backup support. Someone to stay safe on the ridge while we handle the real work. She just saved our entire mission with capabilities that none of us imagined possible. Thompson leaned forward in his seat, his eyes focused on the helicopter floor as he calculated the technical difficulty of what Brennan had accomplished. For separate anti-aircraft positions eliminated in under 3 minutes. Maximum range 3,600 meters with crosswinds gusting to 15 knots. The mathematics of those shots exceed everything we learned about long-range engagement possibilities. Hayes shook his head slowly while reviewing the mission timeline in his mind. Without those shots, we would still be pinned in that compound with no extraction possible. Weather prevented air support. Artillery was denied due to civilians, and we had no ammunition for sustained engagement. She provided the only tactical solution that could save us. Williams examined his equipment while speaking quietly about the transformation of their tactical situation. 1 minute, we faced impossible odds with no conventional solutions available. The next minute, 5 impossible shots eliminated every threat that prevented our extraction. Brennan turned tactical disaster into complete mission success through marksmanship that defies explanation. Chun looked up from his gear check with an expression that mixed professional respect with genuine amazement. We spent the entire mission planning phase discussing her assignment to Overwatch like it was babysitting duty. Safe position away from real action where inexperience would not compromise operations. We completely misjudged her capabilities. Rodriguez's voice carried the tone of a commander who had learned a fundamental lesson about making assumptions based on appearances. She never said anything about her skill level during briefings. Professional demeanor, standard responses, nothing that suggested she possessed elite capabilities. We assigned her to Overwatch because we thought it was the safest place for someone we considered inexperienced. Martinez pulled out his notebook and began calculating ranges and environmental conditions from memory. 3,400 meters for the machine gun position. 28 to 3,600 for the anti-aircraft sights. Variable crosswinds between 10 and 15 knots. First-round hits on every target with rapid transitions between positions. Those numbers represent impossible performance standards. The helicopter's communication system crackled with transmissions from higher command requesting detailed after-action reports about the mission's success despite intelligence failures that had not predicted the level of resistance encountered. Rodriguez began his preliminary report while acknowledging that mission success depended entirely on Overwatch capabilities that exceeded every expectation. Thompson reviewed his tactical notes while expressing continued disbelief about the marksmanship demonstration he had witnessed. We train constantly for long-range engagement scenarios. Maximum effective range for our best marksmen rarely exceeds 2,500 meters under optimal conditions. She engaged targets at distances that our doctrine considers impossible for precision shooting. Hayes examined the tactical timeline while considering how completely their situation had been transformed by capabilities they had not anticipated. Machine gun position eliminated with 1 shot that enabled our movement to extraction. For anti-aircraft positions, neutralized in sequence that allowed helicopter landing. Without those engagements, mission failure was inevitable. Williams cleaned his weapon while reflecting on the psychological impact of witnessing marksmanship that challenged every assumption about long-range engagement possibilities. 17 professionals with extensive combat experience, and none of us imagined that level of precision was achievable under field conditions. She redefined our understanding of what Overwatch support could accomplish. Chun secured his gear while considering the implications of their revised assessment about Brennan's capabilities. We discussed her assignment like she was a liability who needed protection from real combat situations. Professional courtesy mixed with skepticism about her readiness for serious operations. Every assumption we made was completely wrong. Rodriguez continued his preliminary report to higher command while acknowledging the exceptional performance that had enabled mission success. Overwatch Element demonstrated marksmanship capabilities that exceeded every conventional parameter. 5 precision engagements at extreme ranges under challenging conditions eliminated critical threats that prevented extraction using standard tactical solutions. The helicopter's crew chief approached Rodriguez with questions about the mission's success despite initial intelligence failures that had not predicted coordinated resistance with professional military capabilities. The captain's response emphasized that success depended entirely on Overwatch excellence that operated beyond standard tactical expectations. Martinez finished his range calculations and looked up with an expression that reflected technical appreciation for what he had witnessed. Bullet drop compensation at 3,600 meters requires calculations that exceed standard engagement doctrine. Wind deflection across that distance varies significantly with altitude and terrain effects. She managed variables that most marksmen cannot even calculate accurately. Thompson reviewed communication logs while considering how their tactical crisis had been resolved through capabilities that none of them had anticipated from their support element. Every conventional solution failed completely. Air support denied, artillery unavailable, ground reinforcement impossible. Standard infantry tactics could not address the threats we faced. Hayes secured his equipment while reflecting on the civilian evacuation that had been enabled by precision shooting that eliminated threats beyond their conventional capabilities. Without Overwatch engagement of those positions, extraction remained impossible and civilian casualties would have been inevitable. She provided tactical solutions that saved military and non-combatant lives. Williams completed his weapon maintenance while expressing continued amazement about marksmanship that had transformed their understanding of long-range engagement possibilities. 5 consecutive hits at impossible ranges under combat stress with environmental conditions that challenged every technical parameter. This level of precision exists beyond our training experience. The helicopter approached base while Rodriguez prepared detailed mission reports that would acknowledge exceptional Overwatch performance that had enabled success under conditions that appeared tactically impossible. His preliminary assessment emphasized that mission objectives were achieved entirely through marksmanship capabilities that exceeded every conventional expectation about standard support functions. The post-mission debrief room buzzed with unprecedented energy as Captain Rodriguez called the session to order. His demeanor completely transformed from the dismissive authority figure who had assigned Brennan to Overwatch duty 12 hours earlier. Before we begin formal proceedings, I need to address the exceptional performance that enabled this mission's success despite intelligence failures that left us facing overwhelming tactical odds. Staff Sergeant Brennan, Rodriguez continued, his voice carrying respect that contrasted sharply with his earlier skepticism. Your marksmanship demonstration today exceeded every parameter we trained to expect from Overwatch support. 5 precision engagements at ranges between 28 and 3,600 meters under challenging conditions eliminated threats that standard tactics could not address effectively. Martinez leaned forward in his chair, his expression reflecting genuine admiration mixed with technical appreciation for what he had witnessed. Captain, I have served with designated marksmen from every elite unit in our military. What Brennan accomplished today operates beyond anything I have encountered in my entire career. Those shots were mathematically impossible according to standard engagement doctrine. Thompson nodded in agreement while reviewing his tactical notes from the mission. The machine gun position at 3,400 meters represented our primary tactical problem. Standard infantry solutions failed completely, and without that elimination, extraction remained impossible. Her first-round hit under combat conditions saved our entire team from inevitable casualties. Hayes addressed the room with the tone of someone who had witnessed capabilities that challenged his understanding of long-range engagement possibilities. For anti-aircraft positions eliminated in sequence while helicopter approached under fire. Variable wind conditions and rapid target transitions that required instantaneous recalculation between shots. This level of precision exists beyond our training experience. Williams stood to address Captain Rodriguez directly, his voice carrying the weight of professional recognition that had replaced earlier skepticism. Sir, we dismissed Overwatch assignment as backup duty for someone who needed protection from real combat situations. Every assumption we made about Brennan's capabilities was completely wrong, and our lives depended on skills we never imagined she possessed. Chun joined the acknowledgement with his own assessment of the tactical transformation that had occurred through precision shooting. Without those engagements, civilian evacuation remained impossible and mission objectives could not be achieved. She provided tactical solutions that saved both military and non-combatant lives through marksmanship that exceeded every conventional parameter. Rodriguez's expression reflected the humility of a commander who had learned fundamental lessons about making judgments based on appearances rather than demonstrated capabilities. I assigned you to Overwatch because I considered it the safest position for someone I assumed lacked experience with serious combat operations. My assessment was professionally incompetent and nearly cost us mission success. Before this discussion continues, drop a comment and let us know your favorite moment from this story, or share if you have witnessed similar situations where someone exceeded all expectations through hidden capabilities. Maybe you know someone who proved their worth when others doubted them. Brennan's response carried the same calm professionalism that had characterized her performance throughout the mission. Captain, Overwatch assignment provided optimal positioning for engaging threats that standard tactical elements could not address effectively. Range and elevation advantages allowed precision engagement that resolved tactical problems beyond conventional infantry capabilities. Martinez pulled out his notebook containing range calculations he had completed during the helicopter flight. 3,427 meters for machine gun elimination. Maximum 3,600 for final anti-aircraft position. Crosswinds variable between 10 and 15 knots with bullet draw compensation that exceeded standard engagement tables. These numbers represent impossible performance standards. Thompson addressed higher command representatives who had joined the debrief to understand how mission success had been achieved despite intelligence failures. Standard tactical doctrine considers precision engagement beyond 2,500 meters extremely difficult under optimal conditions. Brennan demonstrated consistent accuracy at ranges that challenged theoretical possibilities for field shooting. Hayes reviewed civilian evacuation procedures that had been enabled by threat elimination beyond conventional capabilities. Population control became manageable once suppressive fires ceased and extraction proceeded safely because anti-aircraft positions could not engage helicopter during landing. Her shooting directly enabled protection of non-combatant lives. Rodriguez turned to address Brennan directly with acknowledgement that reflected complete transformation of his professional assessment. Your performance today redefined my understanding of Overwatch capabilities and demonstrated skills that exceed every expectation about standard support functions. This team owes its survival to marksmanship excellence that operated beyond our comprehension. Williams completed his equipment inventory while expressing continued amazement about precision shooting that had enabled mission success. 5 consecutive hits under impossible conditions with environmental factors that challenged every technical parameter. Most marksmen struggle with accuracy beyond 1,500 meters, and she maintained perfect precision at twice that distance. Chun reviewed communication logs while considering how tactical crises had been resolved through capabilities that none of them had anticipated from their support element. Every conventional solution failed completely due to range limitations and ammunition constraints. Standard infantry tactics could not address threats that required specialized long-range engagement capabilities. The higher command representative requested detailed technical assessment of the marksmanship demonstration for incorporation into training doctrine and capability development programs. Rodriguez's response emphasized that Brennan's performance exceeded existing training standards and suggested potential applications for similar capabilities in future operations. Martinez completed his final calculations while addressing the room about implications of what they had witnessed. Range, environmental conditions, and target selection required instantaneous mathematical adjustments that exceed standard training curriculum. This level of precision suggests capabilities that exist beyond our current understanding of field marksmanship possibilities. Thompson reviewed tactical timeline while acknowledging how completely their situation had been transformed by unexpected excellence from their Overwatch element. Mission failure appeared inevitable using conventional approaches, but precision elimination of critical threats enabled extraction and objective completion through capabilities we never anticipated. Rodriguez concluded the formal debrief by addressing the fundamental lesson about professional assessment and capability recognition. Today demonstrated that assumptions based on appearances rather than proven performance can compromise tactical decision-making. Staff Sergeant Brennan's exceptional capabilities enabled mission success that would have been impossible through standard tactical approaches. The debrief room maintained respectful attention as participants processed the complete transformation of their understanding about Overwatch support capabilities and the professional excellence they had witnessed under extreme conditions. Brennan's demonstration had redefined their expectations about long-range engagement possibilities and established new standards for precision marksmanship under combat stress.